So what are we talking about today?
Thor: The Dark World, considered the worst Marvel movie. That is what it's considered to be.
By, popular people or
Yes, I read
popular
it.
opinion.
Read it probably. Yeah.
Okay.
But I have a different take on it actually, and I'm hoping that we can have a conversation about it.
And you just recently watched it for the first time, right?
Yeah. Well, so here's a great story about this. I never went to the theater to see Thor: The Dark World. I'm not sure why. I think because when it came out, it got panned. Like people just said it wasn't good, and I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna go see this." But I'm not sure exactly why. Like I like Marvel movies, but Thor never really interest me that much, so I never really like saw it. But I've seen like snippets of it. So I'd be at like a bar and they're showing it. I remember being at a bar and they were playing it, and I was like, "This looks great! Like I need to watch
Mm-hmm.
this movie. This looks fun." And then I was on like a plane and someone was watching it a seat above me, so I couldn't see all of it. But I was like, "This movie looks good. Like I need to definitely go see this." And then I would like be on YouTube randomly, and then it would be like, Hemdale destroys ship, Thor: The Dark World. I'll click on it, like, this looks great. But I never watched the whole movie. And then finally I was like, well, I have to watch this damn movie. So I watched the whole movie. And I will admit right now that this movie is not the best Marvel movie, but it is definitely not the worst. It's definitely not the worst. I had an enjoyable experience watching this. What about am I the only one that thinks that? What did you think?
I liked it a lot. If you were to ask me what's the worst Marvel movie,
Iron Man
I,
3.
I still
Yeah.
even after a conversation where I moved you all the way from terrible to
I'm
it
starting
was
to
fun.
we do need it, just put this on your map, Mike. When we're done, we're going
Mm-hmm.
to both list the Marvel movies from best to worst at some point,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, that
From
sounds
worst
good.
from worst to best. Right now I'm thinking of Thor is the worst, followed by Iron Man 3. I think the original first Thor
The
movie
first Thor.
is absolutely terrible compared to this one 100%. Um and I'll stand by that statement. I think the first Thor movie is boring, and I think this movie's far more interesting. It has its missteps, but for the most part, I had a great time watching it.
Yeah, I don't know what my worst would be right now off the top of my head. It might be Iron Man 2.
What? But we'll have this fight later. Let's not do it
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
All right, so go ahead and hit me with your stuff.
All right. So we've got Malekith, the Dark Elf,
Yes.
making a big appearance at the beginning of this movie. He's the big bad guy for the whole movie. Um, at the beginning of the movie, there's some big battle between Odin's father, who I don't remember his name right now,
Me neither.
and the Dark Elves.
Yeah.
Odin's father wins. The Malekith, the Dark Elf, is banished to some faraway place. Is Malekith from the comics? If he is, can you tell us some more about him?
I can, but he is definitely from the comics. He, if I'm not mistaken, let me click on this. I thought I had to link up. This is weird. Wait, no, this is wrong. I thought I had to click up. He is from comics. I have to find him very quickly.
I'll say
He,
I'm just going off of memory, but I'm pretty sure he's not part of Norse mythology.
no, he is not. He first shows up in Thor 345 in 1984. And then he had a couple of different run-ins with Loki, and actually, it's interesting that I said interesting once. I will not say it again. That episode of Thor is about Balder. So the entire episode is about Balder. It doesn't have Thor in it at all. Like it's a place where Loki is tricking Balder, and they have like a little thing, and it's pretty cool. I read the synopsis, and of course it was the art's by Walt Simonson, which is beautiful. I need to get this comic. I bet it's great. But yes, Malik. How you say his name again?
I'm saying Malekith.
Yeah, Malekith is from the comics, 100%. He's from like from 1984. So, and
Anything else?
The Dark Elves also showed up at that same time period. Yep. But
Okay.
there's nothing special about him. Oh, there's one thing special about him. I don't know how recent this is, but there is thing where the Mandarin. This ties to Iron Man 3. This story came out. This storyline came out in 2014, I think. So again, it's not canon, but it's not, it's not old school comics. It's more recent. But Malekith, no, let me step back. The Mandarin dies, and the 10 rings that he has goes and looks for people to take them. And Malekith gets one of the rings, and he tries to kill people to get the rest of them. It's a whole storyline where Malekith has one of Mandarin's rings. It's actually pretty cool. This is tied back into Iron Man 3. You'll never see this in a movie. Just to let you know, that's never going to happen. But I thought it was fun to talk about.
Okay, interesting. That's all you gotta say about Malekith.
Yeah, it's not much. It's just a couple things here and there. I mean, they've retconned him since the movie came out. They started adding a whole bunch of stuff, and I kind of want to make this clear to the readers. I like talking about the comic connections before the movie comes out. Like, I don't want to make the comic connections after, because that's Marvel making comic connections after the movie comes out to fix certain things or to get fans more engaged. When I'm talking about comic references, I really like to stay focused on the older ones. Like, probably
that's what I'm interested in too. Is I want to know where this stuff came from before the movie happened. What were they drawing on
exactly
to help me make the connections between the movies and just have a better understanding of sometimes when these things get unusual, let's say, will make sense of things.
Yes, but I do want to highlight the map that I sent you of Asgard the Asgard the non-realms. This map is comic accurate. It's a different one they've made for Marvel somewhat, but for the most part, this map here is comic accurate. And if you notice here, where it says below Midgard is Svartálfar. I can't. You can pronounce this better than me.
Svartálfar.
Svartálfar. Is the S silent?
No, Svartálfar.
Svartálfar. Oh my goodness. So Svartálfar is in the comics. It's right there. So it's been mapped out, and so the Dark Elves do live there. So Svartálfar is in the map of the Asgard and 9 worlds. I will try to find a Marvel map to help us too. But keep
all
going.
right, you're talking about right now. Is Svartálfar the same thing as the Dark World?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because they mentioned the Dark World in here. It's the title of the movie. I didn't recall the Dark World being mentioned at all in any of the Norse mythology that I read. So
really,
I wasn't sure what that was. They don't call it the Dark World.
They call it Svartálfar.
I do think Svartálfar is from the mythology. Yeah.
Well, that's definitely. Yeah, there you go. All right. Cool. I like the fact that you know some Norse mythology with this. It makes it fun.
Yeah, it's good. I definitely recommend reading that book that Neil Gaiman wrote.
Put it into the notes. Did you put it in the notes last time?
I think I did. We'll do it again.
Yeah, good. All right. Hit me.
All right. Next up, Ether.
So that's the reality.
The MacGuffin,
that's the reality
right?
Gem. Yes, that is the MacGuffin of the episode, and it is also the reality gem.
Are there hints to that being the reality gem in the movie?
Did you watch the post-credit scene?
I did, and now one of my questions is, I think, explained already. Because okay, let's jump ahead. All right, post-credit scene.
Okay.
Post-credit scene is the Asgard Avengers, as you've said before, go to visit the Collector. The Collector is the guy that collects a lot of stuff.
Yes, and I put the Collector in the show notes. So the Collector is from the comics, 100%. He's from 1966.
They bring him an Infinity Stone or Infinity Gem, or what do they call
it? You can call them gems or stones. It doesn't really matter.
And my question was, which stone and how did they get it? Because I didn't see that explained in the movie at all.
They don't explain it, and that's one. And this movie isn't great, Mike. This movie's got problems. There's a lot of problems with this movie. But and let me kind of go back. In the very beginning of the movie, they say the Dark Elves created the ether. And we know that the Infinity Gems were created by the Big Bang. So that's already a plot hole. And then we know that when he does, I think Balder does give the collector a little thing. It has the ether in it. It's the reality gem. It doesn't say so, but we do know that the ether does bend and change reality through the whole movie. So it makes sense that's the reality gem. And the collector does say 1 down, 5 to go. And so we already know that
Right, like
Thanos
the
has
collector's
been.
planning to get them all, right?
Yes,
Or
exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, we're like we're the Marvel movies are already starting to become a way to get us to the Infinity War. Like we know that's going to happen eventually. We just have to be patient. And so right now right now we've seen 2 gems. We've got the space gem and we've got the reality gem. So now we just gotta wait for the rest of them to show up. Oh,
Well,
we've already
and we
seen the
also
mind
saw the
gem.
mind gem, yeah.
We've already seen the Mind Gem. So we've gotten 3 gems. We won't know it's the Mind Gem until we do Age of Ultron, which is coming up soon. Well, soon as in 3 or 4 movies from now. But we are starting to see these gems come into play.
And
And
I'm going back to like just remembering watching these movies the first time. I don't think I knew anything about any kind of space gems or infinity gems or whatever until this post credit scene.
mm-hmm.
Just drawing from watching the movies themselves. Because it's all very implied and there's nothing really explicit about it yet.
Yeah, you have to be a strong comic head to know about the gems and stuff right now. So don't feel bad that you didn't know what they were doing. They didn't explain it.
Yeah, and in that scene, I thought it was actually kind of interesting, knowing what I know now from what we've talked about, that they still referred to "we've got the Tesseract." They didn't call it the
Space Gem.
Space Gem. They said we've got the Tesseract. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you want to say about the collector while we're jumping ahead to the post-credit scene?
Yeah, the collector, if I'm not mistaken, the collector was a part of a storyline in Marvel. I'm going to do this straight off my head, no notes, no internet, called
I love
Contest
it.
of Contest of Champions. So this was a story way back in the day where I don't know if it's the collector, it might be someone else. I'm going to say it's collector, but I think it's somebody else. We'll just have to wait. Where there's a matchup where someone just takes all the villains and heroes from Marvel, throws them into an arena, and makes them fight each other. Classic comic book coolness. Like who's going to win? And so that was before DC's Crisis on Infinity Earth. It was like so.
That's not the guy from Thor Ragnarok that Jeff Goldblum plays.
It could be right. You could be right, Mike. I should.
It
check.
sounds like because that's what happens between Thor and the Hulk in that movie.
And the Hulk. Hang on. I am going to be. I'm going to say I'm correct on this. I'm going to say I'm right. Yep, I am right. Ha ha ha! He is Contest of Champions. Ha. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. But
well, it seems like they pulled that idea from the collector and gave it to Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum's character is someone else, and when I don't know him off the top of my head just yet, but he's from someplace else, and we'll get to him when we talk about Thor Ragnarok. I can't wait to geek out. You're talking about some deep comic stuff. It's gonna be a great episode. Okay, so the collector he's important. He's been through a lot. He's like there's certain characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe called cosmic characters. They're not super powerful, but they're in space doing space stuff. And the collector is one of those guys. And we haven't got to these guys yet, but we're talking like Warlock, Adam Warlock. We're talking like Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel. We're talking the Silver Surfer, stuff like that. So there's a lot of characters out there in space doing some space stuff, and the collector is one of them. And we'll see the collector when we do Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'll have more to talk about when we do him then.
Okay.
Well, let's go back to Thor.
Well, I've got one more question while we're on the collector and the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Who is his pink assistant, and is she significant at all?
They highlight her more in the Guardians of the Galaxy. She is a race of beings that do exist in Marvel, but I don't know the name off the top of my head. And I'm not going to try and make it up because I don't know. But she's is she significant? No. Does she have comic ties? Yes.
Okay. All right. Good enough. All right. So we got onto that. We leapt ahead to talk about the post credit scene by talking about the ether,
Yeah, I'm fine with
which
that.
you blew my mind by saying is one of the Infinity Stones.
Did you not know it was one of the Infinity Stones?
No, I had no idea. There's nothing
Okay.
in this movie, as far as I could tell, that would tell me that it's one of the Infinity Stones.
And the ether does act differently than the rest of the stones. So
Well,
that's
it
fair.
doesn't look like a stone. It's a
It's not.
fluid.
It's like it's a liquid type of thing. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're not wrong for not knowing that.
Okay. All right. Well, did the ether ever infect Jane Foster in the comics?
No, absolutely not. Jane Foster wasn't a big comic character in the comics until recently. So
Okay.
no, that never happened. And remember, Jane Foster wasn't a scientist in the comics either. She was just a
She was
normal person, a nurse
or
originally.
a doctor or something like
a
that.
nurse. No, a woman
Nurse.
can't be a doctor in the '60s. Mike, come on.
Oh, okay, in the 60s. All right.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. At least not in popular culture. Okay. Do the comics explain how Loki? Yeah. Okay. So this is actually something that I've kind of wondered about not from the mythology and also from the comics or the movies. I don't think the mythology ever does any kind of a job of explaining either of these two things, but Loki is not an Asgardian. He was born. He's the son of a frost giant.
Correct.
But he doesn't look like a frost giant. He's not gigantic. He doesn't look like he's cold. And he has magic.
Yes.
Do the comics explain why he doesn't look like a frost giant and why he has magic?
No, but the movie does. There's actually a scene, I think, where in the original Thor, where he does look like a frost giant. They put like he's having some kind of like epiphany, and he looks like one. But did you see that scene where he's in the cage and he's talking to his mother?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She taught him magic.
Oh, okay. She taught it to him. Okay.
Mm-hmm. She taught him all that magic, and like because she uses the same magic tricks he uses, she used before she was killed.
Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So and there's a scene in Thor, the original Thor movie, where Odin is holding the baby Loki, and he takes his hand and he wipes the baby's face with his hand, and it changes his skin from blue to Caucasian skin color.
Okay.
So Odin actually does that.
The movies did explain it. Then I just didn't pick up on that. Okay.
That's okay. And
I think there's in the first Thor, there's some place where Loki touches something.
No,
and his hand partially turns into
a frost giant grabs it. A frost giant grabs his hand.
Okay.
And doing that battle scene in the original Thor, he grabs his hand.
Oh, right. And his hand like kind of freezes, but then just goes back to normal because he's really a frost giant. Okay.
Yeah. But in the comics, it is established that he is a frost giant's child. And I thought we talked about how that is true from the mythology as well, correct?
Yeah, it is. The main difference is that Laufey is his mother in the mythology, and it's his father in the comics.
The patriarchy never ends, does it, Mike? The patriarchy's going to win no matter what. That's so hilarious.
Yeah.
Just a side note, real quick. I was heartbroken when his mother was killed. I thought that was I was heartbroken. I thought they did a really good job making the connection between Loki and his mother apparent and strong, and his emotions tied to it were just right. I mean, it's great.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. We have the guy that, or the thing that kills Loki's mother, is a cursed dark elf. Cursed with a K.
Dark elf. Yeah.
Does that feature in the comics? Is there anything more you can tell us about cursed dark elves?
To my knowledge, there is no such thing in the comics called a cursed dark elf. To my knowledge. Now, I could be wrong, so I'm going to do a quick little Google search. And nope, there's no such thing as a cursed dark elf in the comic. They just made that up for the movie.
Okay. I'm guessing your answer to the next one's the same. Dark elf black hole grenades.
Oh, that's totally made up from the movie. Yeah. I thought they looked cool, but they totally made that up.
Yeah, I was hoping that those were from the comics because I really want a better understanding of how those things work.
Well, the comics ain't going to help you with that because the comics don't explain anything.
Okay.
But no, it's just a cool little thing they just made up for.
It looks really cool. Yeah.
I thought the action scenes with the Dark Elves were like I was generally not. I wasn't like afraid, but when they showed up, I was worried. And when they did show up, they destroyed Asgard. So they as a threat, I thought they worked out pretty well. I'm also a big fan that these guys have been asleep for forever, and I like the connections when I like the technology / magic / Asgardian space stuff. I'm digging this, like like the spaceships and the guns and stuff like that. It's like I think they did a great job making this world feel like something different than I've seen before. I kind of wish they went like that scene where his mother's being like cast out into the sea because of her funeral, and they have those little lanterns and stuff, and then Odin stabs his staff and like she evaporates. That's all cool. Like, I don't understand why people think this is the worst Marvel movie. You didn't see any of this in Iron Man 3. Like, it's like it's a lot of cool stuff in this movie. A lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's a really cool movie. I was looking forward to it just because after watching Thor, that got me interested in the Norse mythology, and then I knew this one was going to be set, more away from Midgard and Earth than the other movies. So I was really looking forward to that.
So the director, his name is Alan Taylor. He did some Game of Thrones episodes.
Interesting.
Yeah. I can see that aesthetic. He also directed some episodes of The Sopranos.
Wow. Okay.
And Sex and the City. And The West Wing. And Homicide: Life in the Streets. He's been doing stuff for a long time.
Seems like he likes working with HBO, or at least he used to.
Yeah.
So I do actually have a note here on Thor's mother dying and Loki's mother dying. So one thing, their mother in the movies and I guess the comics is a composite of two characters from the mythology.
Mm-hmm.
So the name's different and stuff like that. So did their mother die in the comics?
I'll be honest with you, Mike. I'd never heard of their mother before. It was always just Odin. I didn't even know. I just didn't know. I didn't even know that they had a mother. So in the comics, and this is just based off the times I was reading the comics and from my research, I never knew that they had a mom. So I think they did. I think Renee Russo did a fantastic job as that character. I really liked how she was fighting. She almost killed that Dark Elf. That was awesome.
Right. Yeah, that was really cool. My kids commented on how good she was.
Yeah, but in the comics, there's no real. I'll have to do some more research. Maybe I'm wrong on that. And if you're listening, if you can find me a comic before 2000, so my reference point is anything before 2000 is considered old school, and anything from 2001 to now is new school. Find me a old school reference for Thor's mother, and we'll talk about it. It's kind of funny after all this time with all these episodes, I'm just now starting to have rules. Like, these are the rules now. I'm changing the game.
I like the rule that the comics have to have been published before the movie.
Yeah, that's a good
rule.
That's a strong rule that we're going to keep.
Right. Okay. So like I said, Thor's mother, Loki's mother in the comics is like two different
composite. Tell me more about that, Mike. Do you have more information about that?
I don't really have more information. It's not like there's not a lot of stories
composite
that
characters
I've read so far.
Yeah, composite characters in fiction isn't new. A lot of comics and movies and fiction do composite characters. So that's not. And in fact, when I teach my students in creative writing, I teach my students to make composite characters sometimes because it's just easier. Like, if a student has 3 friends, you only need 2 friends. Make those
Right.
2 people in one. It makes more sense.
Loki loves taking Captain America's form.
Yes.
He does it in this movie, and then he does it again at the very beginning of the Loki TV series.
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, but okay, so back it up. He does that in Avengers Endgame.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah. I have a couple.
I thought
reasons.
they threw that, so that was in Avengers Endgame. They didn't just throw that in for the Loki series.
No, they couldn't get Chris Evans to just do a couple seconds for Loki. You know how much money that would cost? No, that's footage from Avengers Endgame.
Okay, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. So the reason why so Loki in Dark World takes Captain America's form, right? That's cool. Everybody likes it. And I think the reason what they do was the directors and the writers, they have Loki do that again in the in World when they're time traveling to create the precedent that Loki could look like anyone. So when Captain America from the past sees Captain America from the future, Captain America from the past thinks, "Oh, it's Loki dressed up like me. I've seen this before."
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that he does it in multiple movies, and he doesn't take the form of any other of the Avengers that I can think of. It's always Captain America.
Yeah, that's true. And in fact, he doesn't take the form of many people a lot. Like he didn't do that. Like he doesn't do that often. You would think that he would to get out of trouble, but he doesn't. Which is it's just maybe he'll do that more. And this is a side note. Going back to Loki, the episode 2 we just talked about, it's not a big deal if Loki's a woman because we know he can change his form to look like anybody.
Well, and that woman Loki changes form several times in that one episode.
Yeah.
Or
possesses people.
Possesses people, I guess. Yeah.
All right, yeah. Well, let's not get too much into that. But no, like
right.
Yeah, there's no comic book reference for that. I don't even think in the comics he does that often.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely something he does in the mythology. He can take the form of any living creature.
So like Satan from Christianity myth.
I didn't know he could do that.
Oh, Satan's doing all kinds of crazy stuff, dude.
Okay. All right. So we already talked about that. The Dark World, that's Svartálfar. So that's where the Dark Elves live. That's from the comics. All right. Malekith again. So I've got a quote. Malekith says, this is to Thor. Malekith says, "Your universe was never meant to be." I wonder if this is probably too far ahead for them to be planning, but I wonder if there's any kind of a tie-in to the Loki series with that statement at all.
There's definitely so I sent you a link. I'm going to send it again. So I sent you a link that apparently I didn't know this, but apparently the Marvel universe, the comic universe, which is called 616, this is its 8th iteration. Apparently, it's been restarted 8 times. And I sent you a link into the show notes that talks more about that. It's the Marvel fandom wiki, Earth 616. So apparently, I didn't know this much. Let me restart. I knew from the comics that the Marvel universe has had a couple of different versions of itself, because one of the storylines for Galactus is that he was somehow protected himself from the Big Bang. It was at the end of his universe and he protected himself. So when the new universe started, he survived. So he's actually from another older universe than ours, which is I'm going to say it's interesting. But I didn't know.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, but I didn't know there have been 8 iterations. So I like the idea that how you say his name again?
Malekith.
When Malekith said that, I was like, ooh, I like that. And it does tie into the Time Variance Authority. I don't know if Loki is ever going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But
Hmm.
I do think that maybe bouncing around some producers' heads or bouncing around some story ideas at the Marvel Cinematic Universe headquarters, it could be. And this is what I'm saying is, at some point they are going to have to restart this universe because the actors are going to get too old.
Right.
And so when that happens,
They're unfortunately at some point they're gonna want to have Captain America
mhm,
as Steve Rogers again.
yeah, they're going to want to have Captain America, Steve Rogers. They're going to want to have Iron Man. And that's going to be when they use up all of their options, which could be 10, 15 years from now. And it could be 20 years from now. It could be a long time. But at some point, they will have to do that. And so they already have, comic books already have precedent for that. So we'll just have to wait. But there is that is a comic book reference in the sense that in the comics, there's always an idea that everything could just restart at some point. And we talked about this before. Restarting a comic universe is great when you're a writer because like you have all these mistakes from other writers and all these other problems. If you could just
Right.
start fresh, thank the Lord. So what
Yeah.
Malekith said was cool, but it wasn't any kind of hint for anything for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at least not yet.
Okay. No real question here, but towards the end here, there's a big battle, and it's just a lot of fun. They're opening portals in space. They're bouncing from Earth to Svartálfar to other places, maybe. It's like it reminds me of, you ever watch the cartoons where you're looking down a hallway, there's a bunch of doors on the hallway, and the cartoon characters are running in one door, coming out of another from the opposite side of the screen, and,
Oh
and they
yeah,
just keep doing that all
yeah,
over the place.
yeah. Have you ever played the game Portal?
uh I haven't.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so this weekend it's really cheap. Buy Portal and Portal 2 and get your kids and have a great time.
Yeah.
It's a great game. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. Your kids will love it too. Play it with your kids.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
no, this I thought the fight scene was so fun. Like I love that one scene where they get teleported to someplace else. His hammer is trying to go to get to him. They teleport, and then
Right.
the hammer
Right.
instantly flies into space. I'm like, yes. I don't know why that made me excited, but I'm like, yeah, hammer, go space.
Right.
You
Right.
know? And then the hammer stops and then goes back to Earth.
Right.
And like
Right.
it's just cool. Like I know this movie gets panned, but this movie's fun to watch. Like that, seeing that hammer try to get to Thor and seeing Thor fight without the hammer for a while is just a neat thing to see. And I like all the different. I thought it could be a little bit more interesting, but it's fun. You're right. It's a really fun scene. It's just great.
Yeah, I'm good. I think this is like a top 3 um battle sequence out of the entire MCU.
Oh man, that's another thing we'll have to do at some point. The top 10 battle sequences. It's not in my top 10, but it's great. I do
It's
think it's a
so
lot of
fun.
fun.
It's so fun.
It is. It is. I
Um,
think they could have done it even more so, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
yeah.
It's
I mean, if they kept doing it, I don't know, just probably would have gotten. It seemed like it was the perfect length for me. I don't
I
know.
mean, just the hammer itself trying to get to Thor is just kind of it's compelling because at
Right.
some point it's going to get there, and like and when he finally does reach out his hand and he grabs it, it's worth the payoff. And I think too having a MacGuffin like that, having Thor have the hammer, this ties back to Ragnarok. We always kind of worry that he's going to lose it or it might go away. And then when they
Mm,
do destroy it at the beginning of Thor Ragnarok, it hurts really bad. And so like have in that battle scene in Dark World, I'm generally worried about the hammer. About the hammer. I don't know why it's like indestructible. But that one scene where it's just shoots into space is just so much fun. But anyway, yeah, you're 100% right.
okay.
And there is comic canon behind that. There's this one. So this is more of a recent storyline. But Thor is in space fighting a space war, and these people he's fighting are super tough. So Thor, before he's supposed to go for a peace treaty, so Thor just throws his hammer into space, and you never really know why he does it. Then he goes down to the planet and he talks to them, and the guy's like, "We will not have peace. We will destroy you." And Thor just puts his hand on the guy's chest, and then the hammer from space comes down and goes through him. It's so awesome.
Oh wow, yeah,
It's
that's incredible.
yeah, it's like oh, that's the good stuff. That's why I buy comic books right there. It's so much fun.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Almost had that in this movie. Yeah. I really liked the kind of end scene where the Dark Elves ship is about to fall on Thor, and
I didn't
Jane
like that.
Foster.
Yeah.
Jane Foster, loves Thor so much she's shielding him with her own body.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the ship isn't falling on them anymore, and you're like, "What happened? Who stopped it?" And nobody stopped it. It just went through one of those portals, and now it's falling on Malekith.
Yeah, that was fun. I thought it was a little cheesy, but
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Because I was kind of expecting somebody to have stopped it, and I guess really like Eric did, right? Because he had the controls that could open up portals and stuff. But I was expecting some kind of superhero to have stopped it.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. At the end of the movie, I didn't remember this at all, and I, we're watching Loki right now, but Loki sits on the throne at the end of this movie.
Oh yeah. So there's a scene where Loki, we think Loki's betrayed Thor, but it didn't happen, and Loki fights with Thor. But then we see Loki die, but it turns out that Loki's not dead. That apparently Loki somehow has manipulated their father, and now he's on the throne and he rules Asgard. And so Thor says, "I don't want to be king," and then he walks off, and then we get a change, and that's it. What do you think? Did you like that or dislike that?
I liked it. I mean, you didn't really capture this in your synopsis, but the whole time Thor's talking to Odin.
Yeah.
And Thor's telling Odin, I don't want to be king. I want to be the protector of the 9 realms.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be their king. That's not what I'm cut out for.
Yeah, I think Thor said that
Loki would be better cut out for that.
Well, I think he said that because Odin doesn't allow Thor to do the stuff he wanted to do to save Jane and to battle the elves. He wanted everybody to stay at Asgard to fight them just in case they show back up. And Odin did what a king would do, but I think Thor did what a protector would do. And so it's an interesting. Just a side note: Anthony Hopkins as Odin might look good, but Anthony Hopkins did not do a very good job in this movie. He didn't do a good job in any of the movies. I don't think he really wanted to do these movies. They could have found someone else to do Odin and do a better job. I just was not impressed by Anthony. Anthony Hopkins is great. I love him as an actor, but he didn't do a good job with these movies. Do you agree or disagree to that?
I definitely think he was better in this one than he was in the first Thor movie.
Yeah,
but he doesn't stand out. Like who played the Red Skull? What's his name? The actor's name?
I don't know, but I know exactly who you're talking about. He's great. No,
anyway, he's a fantastic actor, and he was. Even though we know that he kind of didn't really want to do that movie, apparently.
Do we know that for sure?
That's what I've read. That's why he doesn't really show up in the rest of the Marvel movies. Is just because he didn't really enjoy doing that movie.
Yeah, it's not enjoyable. Yeah, it's just not. You can tell
he killed it. He slayed that role though.
I don't know.
Red Skull? You don't think
the Red
he did
Skull?
a good job as Red Skull?
No. We're talking about two different things. Yeah. He did a great job. But he definitely
did a great job, even though he didn't want to. He didn't really.
He hated
that
experience. Yeah, I was talking.
Yeah.
But I wonder if Anthony Hopkins
probably didn't like doing these movies, but also didn't really do a great job in the role.
I mean, Anthony Hopkins is a Shakespearean actor. I mean, those guys are the best of the best. And then someone's like,
Hugo Weaving. Isn't he also like a really...
Yes, he's a Shakespearean actor as well. Those guys are the best of the best. They're doing amazing work. on at the theater, and then someone's like, "Hey, man, play Odin. We'll give you like a billion zillion dollars." And then you do it,
Right.
and it's like, okay. And then you show up for work, and you gotta wear makeup and a green screen, and someone's like, "Okay, behind you is Asgard." It's like, okay, like what
Right.
am I
Right.
supposed to do? So yeah, okay, I'll give some sympathy to Anthony Hopkins a little bit, but anyway. But as
Yeah.
far as the ending is concerned, I thought it was just kind of dramatic. I think that ending would have been better as a post-credit scene. I don't think the movie knew how to end itself.
I do think that you're right. That probably would have been a really good post credit scene. Um, because the post credit scene that we have, just to me, there was no. Like I said, my two questions were: what stone do these Asgardians have, and how did they get it? I either needed that to be stronger in the movie itself, or have a different post credit scene. To me, I did just there wasn't a connection really.
Yeah, I want to posit a theory here. If you look at the ether, it doesn't seem like it bends reality. It seems like it does other things. Like they're going through portals to other places. That's more of
Hmm.
what the space gem would do, not the reality gem.
Right.
I posit that Marvel told the directors and the writers of the movie, "Hey, you've already made this movie. Thank you. We need to do a little bit of tweaking to make this work out for the rest of the movies." And then if you sometimes you can feel the hands of someone else on a creative work. Sometimes you can feel it. And if
Right.
Marvel's pushing them to do all this behind this, like we talked about Ant-Man, like how Ant-Man was what like the director from Ant-Man left because of that.
Right. Yep.
I would totally like these movies. If you're a director and you want to do like a cool movie, you don't have a lot of choices with these Marvel movies. Like you pretty much get to choose like a couple of things of aesthetic, maybe some camera angles, but that's it. But these movies are going to be this way. We've already screen tested them. We have a set budget. We have contracts. So like, and your character has to look like this because we are making toys. Um,
Right.
and I kind of feel like,
That said, it does seem one thing that the directors can do is the tone of the movies.
mhm.
They do seem to have more control over that than you would expect.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Just look at like James Gunn and the Guardian of the Galaxies, and then Taika Waititi and Thor Ragnarok.
well, so what I'm thinking is this: I think some directors can be given restrictions and still work through those restrictions, and some people
Hmm.
just can't. And I think Dark World's kind of in the middle. I think it has some. It has some pretty cool creative things going on with it, but it definitely feels like the ending, especially, was kind of this. Okay, we're done. Let's go. As it didn't feel as engaging as the other endings to other movies. Like Thor just walks off, you know? And the reason he walks
Hmm.
off is because he has to go to Age of Ultron soon. So they don't really want to mess with that. So I don't know.
Right.
But I
What was
think
your favorite part of this movie?
the fight scene we already talked about, and I like just seeing. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Okay, so when we talked about Thor, you mentioned we were talking about how why is there a black Hemdale? How come they have Asian people here? It's
Yeah.
Asgardian at the beginning of the
And
movie.
I just so I don't
Yeah,
sound
you
racist by
don't
asking
sound
those
racist,
questions.
but no, it's a really good point because
Yeah.
Norse mythology is not going to have all that stuff in it.
Right.
At the
Right.
beginning of the movie, did you see where Thor shows up and there's that big fight? Right, there's a big battle at the very beginning,
Yeah. Right.
and then he walks off and there's a Asian character he's talking to, and he's like, "I'm glad we were able to protect your home, and we will continue to do so." And he's like, "Thank you." Well, I think their reference was that if you look at the Asgard non-realms picture that I put into the Slack channel, there's other places besides Asgard. There's Vanaheim, Alhem, Nadavella. You see those places next to Asgard?
Right.
I think like those places, if you're trying to fill in that story, those places would have different people of different races there, and that explains how they could be Asgard.
I don't know that I'm buying that, but I think it's a good try.
Yeah, it's the best I got. It's all I got. It's all I got. It's all I got.
Right.
Also, real quick, I think we're starting to wrap up, but also real quick,
Yeah.
do you remember that rock monster that Thor fought? He just hit his hammer and destroyed him. He's from the comics. He's definitely from the comics, 100%. His name's Korg. His race is they're a race of rock beings. You'll see them again in Thor Ragnarok. So it's a whole race of beings.
Wait, isn't Korg the character in Thor Ragnarok?
Yes, he is 100%. But
that's his name. Is that also his race?
I don't think so. Let me see what his race is called. His race of people.
Or is it a race? Is it a species?
Yes, Kronan. He's a Kronan. Kronan. He's a Kronan born on the planet Raya.
Interesting. Okay.
But they invade, so it's like they're the first people Thor fights, I think. Back in Journey in the Mystery number 83, 1962. So it's really old. And this is I cannot wait to talk about Thor Ragnarok. The Korg character, these people, the Kronans, are a big part of a storyline that fills into Thor Ragnarok. And I don't have enough time to talk about it today, but Thor Ragnarok, the movie, is based heavily off of a storyline called Planet Hulk. And I'm so mad that Marvel butchered this storyline the way they did. And we'll get to more of it. We'll get to more of it later. I love Thor Ragnarok, but Marvel definitely shot itself in the foot by not real quick, Mike. I thought your camera is on. It's not. Like Planet Hulk, the comic book for it is like huge. It's very thick, and it's probably one of my favorite comic book stories of all time. I love it, and we'll get to that when we talk about Ragnarok. But it's a missed opportunity. But anyway, that rock character, that rock monster, is directly from the comic book.
Okay, yeah. When we were watching this last night, we definitely recognized that kind of creature and remembered Korg, because Korg's a favorite from Ragnarok.
Oh, awesome! So you're starting to see some strings here and there. That's great.
Yep.
Well, that's
connecting the dots.
Yeah, I thought the multi-race people next to Asgard theory was a good one, but I guess not.
I don't know, because it still all goes back to these people were created by the Northern Europeans, and
but I think sometimes a good myth lends itself to interpretations. I do. I firmly believe that.
All right. What's up next? What are we talking about next?
If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be Captain America: Winter Soldier.
You are correct.
All right. Correct. Lots of stuff going on with that. Lots of stuff. We finally get to talk about some stuff that we talked about with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So now we get to kind of go back a little bit and talk more about Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes, Hydra, all kinds of cool stuff. Be excited. Nick Fury.
So far, the first Captain America movie was one of our longest podcasts. Do you think this next Captain America movie is going to be about the same?
Yeah, there's enough to talk about. I think maybe. Yeah. I think that people should tune in if they're curious about some stuff. There's a lot of comic book stuff going on. Some controversial topics. Should Marvel have brought back Bucky? I don't know. We'll just have to talk.
People love controversy. That's going to be interesting.
And fascinating.
No, wait. No, it's not going to be interesting. You've infected me now.
Everybody needs a tagline.
Right. Yeah. All right. So Captain America: The Winter Soldier next. In the meantime, tell a friend.
Tell 2 friends. Tell 3 friends.
Yeah.
Listen to all our previous podcasts. See if I'm wrong about anything. Because I feel like I know I am.
Let us, if either of us are wrong about something, if Jarvis is wrong about the comics or I'm wrong about Norse mythology, let us know at Super Sideshow on Twitter.
Yes, and also follow me on Twitter at jslax. Bug me, send me some stuff. You can follow Mike, but there's really no point. I'm just joking. And we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for listening.